Hi, so today we're going to talk about monohybrid crosses. So to review, to start with, we are going to go over a couple terms. So if you remember, dominant means that's the trait that shows up if there's at least one big letter, at least one big letter. So we're going to use the big letter T. T is going to be for, big T is going to be for tall, little t is going to be for short. I like to use alphabet letters that look different when they're uppercase and lowercase. Like I never use S's or W's or M's. I never use those because it's really hard to tell the difference. Okay, so tall is going to be big T and short is going to be little t. So dominant is big T. Okay, recessive is little t. So let's go over these two terms right here. You have homozygous. I don't know if you know, homo means the same. So homozygous means two of the same. So if we're using big T and little t, what would the homozygous traits be if we have to have two? Because remember, an allele, let's go down here, is two different letters or genes or whatever. So different forms of a trait. So it could be big T and little t. So the dominant is big T, recessive is little t. So how do you figure what homozygous is? Homozygous, homo means the same. So it could be big T, or it could be little t. Both of those are homozygous. So you could say homozygous recessive. If you said homozygous recessive, that would be what? Two of the same. Homo means same, so two of the same, and recessive is always going to be the lowercase letter. So that's homozygous recessive. Okay, so that would give us short, because the only way recessive shows up is if there's two of them. So homozygous recessive is always two little letters, and that is always going to be so in this situation it would be short. It's kind of redundant to say homozygous recessive, because if something is recessive, if say you're crossing a recessive short cat, the only way that short can show up is if there's two. So the only way that cat could be short or pea plant could be short or whatever is if there's two of them. So homozygous recessive is how we're learning it. But if you read in a paragraph when you have to do a cross, it might just say recessive because it means the same thing. So that would give you short. Okay? So if it's homozygous dominant, what would that look like? Homo means same, right? So dominant has to be big T. So that would be big T. Okay? So since there's two of them, that would obviously give you tall. All right, but go back to heterozygous. What does hetero mean? Hetero means different. Okay? Heterozygous means different. So that would be one of each. Big T, little t. One of each. So what would that give you? Would that give you tall or would that give you short? Well, what's the only way that recessive shows up? So if there's two, right? So therefore, this would have to give you tall. All right, so let's review. So the dominant trait is tall. What are the two ways that the dominant trait could show up? Big T, or big T, little t. What is the only way the recessive trait, short, could show up? Little t. Okay? So review that if that doesn't make sense before we go on to monohybrid crosses. That's my alligator paw. He's good luck. Okay, I said we're going to do monohybrid crosses. What does the prefix mono mean? Mono means one, okay? Hybrid means to mix. So my monohybrid cross is crossing one trait. But remember, there's two forms of every trait, right? Because it can be tall or short. It can be fat or small. Fat, what's opposite of fat? Skinny. It could be striped or not striped. It could be bald or not bald. Whatever you're talking about. So monohybrid crosses. So in this situation, tall and short, it's one or the other. That is a monohybrid cross because mono means one. It's one form of the trait. We're talking about height. If you're talking about the color of a cat, it's brown or black. The color is one trait, whether it is brown or black, those are the forms of the trait. So don't get confused. Monohybrid cross crosses one trait. In this situation, we're going to cross height. That's the one trait. Okay, so we're going to cross a homozygous dominant pea plant. We cross a lot of pea plants in this class with a heterozygous. I didn't mean to say homozygous dominant. I meant to say homozygous tall. Pea plant with a heterozygous tall pea plant. Okay, that's what we're crossing in our little factory. So a monohybrid cross has a Punnett square with 4 boxes. 4 boxes. 4. Okay. So what you do, so homozygous tall, what are the alleles for that? Let's look. Homozygous means same, remember? Tall, we already looked up here, is dominant. So when I read a problem, and I've been doing this for many, many, many years, the first thing I do is I make a key. So to the right, I'm like, okay, so we have tall and tall, the opposite tall. It'll always tell you opposite. If it doesn't tell you in the paragraph, it'll tell you somewhere. Of tall is short. Side note, okay? So then I make a key. Here's my key. Big T equals tall. Little t then equals short. That's my key because I don't like to read the paragraph 75 times. It is annoying. So I just make a key. Oh, look, tall, short, boom. And then homozygous tall. So as I'm doing this, as I'm doing the paragraph, I write on here. Homozygous tall, big T. Homozygous means same, tall, big. So I look over here. Tall is dominant. Homozygous means same, big T. Okay? Times heterozygous. Heterozygous, that means different. So big T, little t. No, now I already know. Big T times big T, little t. Okay, so that's my gametes. So let's see if this was the sperm, this is the egg, because that's literally what we're doing is we're crossing sperm and egg, right? Whether that looks like balloons. If we're doing animals or plants or whatever, we're crossing the gametes. So you decide, I'm going to put the big T here, put these 2 here. So then the other 2 go on the other side. They have to stick together, okay? So if the male goes here, the female goes on the side, okay? Make sense so far? So we put those on the outside because now we're going to cross them. So now we're going to combine the male gamete with the female gamete. So you bring them down and over. So now that would be your fertilized egg. That would be your zygote, okay? So male down, female over, male down, female over, male down, female over. So now these would be my offspring. See? In the Punnett square, that is my predicted offspring. On the outside, those are my parents. Parents mate, right? Male and female gametes mate, offspring. Okay, so now that I have this information, what am I going to do with it? Did you notice something though when I was doing this? Do you notice I always put the dominant allele first? The thing with that is I always put the dominant allele first, right? And technically, if you look, I'm going to write up here, this means exactly the same thing. In my brain, that's confusing, okay? I don't want one box in the Punnett square to look like that and one to look like this, because to me, that looks like 2 different things. And then when I go to quickly fill out the answers, because I want to spend 8 hours on this, I want to spend 2 minutes, I'm like, oh, okay, oh, these are 2 different things. No, they're not, but that's confusing. So I always write the dominant allele first so it's consistent, okay? So notice when I did this, these are all dominant right here. These are all dominant here, but I always put the dominant one first. I didn't even think about it because I've been doing it for so long. You'll have to think about it a little bit. Dominant first, recessive second, dominant first, recessive second. So when I look at both of these, they look identical. So then I can process them and All right, so we crossed a heterozygous tall. Yeah, I just recorded it and the computer froze, and so I don't want to show you the answers. With a heterozygous tall. Okay, so that's what you guys did. So let's go over that. Heterozygous tall. Okay, so then tall has to be dominant. So I'm going to make my key. Opposite of tall is short. So little t equals short. There's my key. All right. So heterozygous means one of each. Tall, big T, little t. Times heterozygous means one of each. Big T, little t. All right. So we're doing a monohybrid cross. We're crossing one trait. So we are going to make 4 boxes. All right. So remember, these are the parents. We put the parents on the top and the sides. So put big T here, little t here, big T here, little t here. Okay. So that is the parents. We're going to cross them. Now we're going to make the offspring. So we put big T, big T, big T, little t, big T over, little t down, little t over, little t. Okay, are we done? No, we have to state the genotype and the phenotype. So genotype, remember, genotype is, I know how to spell, is the gene. So what is on the chromosome, what is on the gene, okay? So that would be 25%, because 1 in 4, big T, 50%, big T, little t, 25%, little t. That is my genotype, okay? So now what is the phenotype? Phenotype, remember, photograph, phenotype, what does it look like? Well, these two are going to give me 75% tall, and this one is going to give me 25% short. So what we cannot do is usually we cannot figure out the genotype from the phenotype. Because look at this. 75% tall, 25% short. How are we supposed to know if this is big T, or big T, little t? We can't. So we can not always figure out the genotype from the phenotype. But we can always figure out the phenotype from the genotype because that tells us. So this is my answer. Always show your work. All right. So I will give you a couple more practice problems. Do you want to do one more? Do you think you got it? Homozygous. Short. Times heterozygous. Tall. Right? What do you got there? Let's do it together. Or you pause it. I'm going to give you the answer right now. Pause it. Figure it out. And then hit play. Homozygous, short, and tall. So big tall is big T because heterozygous is always dominant. There's another L. Short is little t. Homozygous short, little t. Heterozygous tall, big T, little t. Monohybrid cross. Cross is one trait. Big T, little t. Little t, little t. Big T, little t. Big T, little t. Little t, little t. Little t, little t. So state the genotype and phenotype. Genotype equals 25. Nope. Look at that. 50% big T, little t, because we have this many. 50% little t. That's the genotype. Phenotype. Oh, you can't even see my paper. I'm sorry. Phenotype equals 50% tall, 50% short. There. Is that what you got? Is that the answer you got? I hope so. All right. We'll do dihybrid crosses next time. Email me with questions.